Not bad timing. As soon as it came back, it says 5 o'clock. And we are here tonight with Mite Paranormal. And thank you guys for popping in with us. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
So, just a little question I like asking everybody is what got you started in the paranormal or interested in the paranormal?
Well, actually, like I've always, since I was younger, I just kind of got was very intrigued by it. Definitely started with the shows and stuff, and then as time progressed, I got older. I didn't really have a specific experience that got me interested in it and kind of chasing that. But as as I grew, as the shows kind of started, that kind of intrigued me. Then we started actually going to different locations, and once you get that first I don't know, that first evidence that just kind of had me hooked. So, that's kind of just how I got started. And then normal in the last 5 years, I'd say is where we've really gotten involved with going to locations and joining teams and been able to actually go out and experience things more.
Okay, cool. So, is it just you two?
So we actually are part of also we us two are kind of like the Mighty Paranormal that we're in North Georgia and we're actually part of Paranormal Society of Savannah that isn't, but we're so far from there that we actually can't really investigate with them as much as we like. So for what we do up in the area that we're at, we kind of we just kind of, it's just mainly the two of us and maybe two or three other people that are local.
Okay, cool. So, what areas or what places do you normally go to whenever you do investigations?
So we've primarily been like to a lot of like the larger locations more recently. My favorite so far has been, well, actually, we started out like the first one that we actually went on a full investigation where we took our equipment was at Waverly. And so that kind of got me definitely hooked there. We got some great evidence while we were there. And then we've kind of, just we found like the local small hotspots within Northeast Georgia. Like there's a local bridge here. We've been to Americus to investigate there, the Rylander House. We go like to some private, local private areas where we've kind of been asked to come in and kind of see what I don't know, kind of put some evidence behind some experiences that some local people were having, just to kind of prove or disprove what they were thinking was happening there. Most recently, we've been to the Thomas House, which is in Bowling Springs, Tennessee. That's probably my favorite place we've been so far. Enjoyed it. It's a small, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a small bed and breakfast that that has a lot of activity. There's, they had a book written about it. We actually had a team investigate there for a ghost hunt weekend. And I don't know, we just really enjoyed that.
Cool, cool. And I think you said something about Savannah, Georgia, right?
Yes.
Okay. Savannah's got to have a lot of history, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We go down there with our team and investigate some of the local places there. Terry can probably speak more to that. I kind of feel like I'm taking over everything.
That's fine. But yeah, we live 6 hours from there, so we don't get down there as much as we can. But we go down there for special events. A couple hotels we've investigated at, and like she said, we went to with the team. We met up in Central Georgia in Americus and Plains, which is the home of Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter.
Mm-hmm.
And, we went to his former house called the Rylander House, which has some activity. And another thing that's down there right in the city next door in Andersonville that I was really moved by was the Civil War prisoner of war museum, and the grounds had they had large spacious grounds with cemeteries and of the soldiers, and they still have the green space, which was the former hospital during the prisoner of war that we had a lot of activity at, with the REM pod going off quite a bit right after we were asking questions. Very moving place, though. You know, you hate to see U.S. soldiers with no idea what U.S. soldiers went through,
Mm-hmm.
the harsh conditions. But getting back to Savannah, yeah, it's a very spiritual or haunted place. Uh,
One of the hotbeds of the paranormal activities.
yeah, yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I wouldn't mind trying to get down in those areas down there because I know that there's a lot of places down there that have activity.
Oh yeah, it's
Um,
beautiful. It's fun. It's just a fun. It's just a great. There's just such a great vibe when you're walking around in the downtown area. There's cemeteries just in the middle there. A lot of
I was
tours.
actually going to ask you if you guys have went into any of the cemeteries and done investigations at night.
I can't say that we actually went into them at night. We went around them. They're fenced. They got the wrought iron fences, and we kind of did some activity on the perimeter of them. Um, but we didn't actually go in.
Okay, well, I was just wondering. I know that we've done a few cemeteries up here, so
Yeah,
Yeah, but those are easily
accessible.
yeah,
accessible. I mean, you got one that's out in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, yeah.
You
These
know,
are in town. Of course, they're beautiful to look at. They're that American Gothic design.
Oh yeah,
Just what you see in the movies.
that is really cool though.
It is, and it's just a good vibe at night. People are walking around. There's tours. I think there must be about 5 tours that are constantly running into each other. Big business down there.
So, do they do tours of the cemeteries then, or?
I don't think they. I think they don't have access, but they'll go around them just like us.
Oh, okay.
And it depends on the cemeteries. I think as you get maybe the ones down in the middle of town are fenced in, but the ones on the outside you have better access. But I think most people are attracted to being into the downtown area. Plus, that's
Yeah.
probably what they're staying too.
That would most likely be, I think, where more activity would probably be. Little richer history for the paranormal there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there was the place I like to go to when we're down there is called the Grave Face Museum. It's basically a little independently owned museum. There's one in Chicago too, uh, but it's based in Savannah. It's like a murderabilia museum. They have a huge John Wayne Gacy collection. Just a lot of artifacts that they were able to get from family members and
Mm-hmm.
whoever was given away. They've got stuff from the Jimmy Jones, the Reverend Jimmy Jones cult fiasco,
Oh wow.
some Manson stuff, articles of clothing people wore in prison, like Eileen Wuornos. You could see her underwear up there.
Monster.
Just weird stuff, and just
That was a good movie.
a lot of lesser known things too that you might have heard of, but you're like, oh, I've kind of forgotten about that. You could, and they'll sell you a 3-day pass, and you'll need all 3 days because you want to read everything, you want to take it all in. Long story short, we have done an investigation in there, and while we didn't get a lot of activity while we were there, our members of the Paranormal Society of Savannah have had activity there in the past. But it's still an exciting place to be in. It's a great vibe.
Yeah, I mean, we there's a place called the Planners Inn that's on Reynolds. I think it's Reynolds Square, and we investigated there with our team at one of our events, and it was. I mean, we had a ton of activity. Like there was, I mean, everywhere that we went within that spot, there seemed to be a lot of activity. Whether it was on, one of the top floors, whether it was in the elevator, the basement, like multiple areas within the basement, we had a lot of activity. So if you have the opportunity to go there, definitely try that. And the Weed Sorrel House, that's a great place to investigate as well.
Cool. So, in all your times investigating and stuff, what is the coolest evidence that you think that you've caught?
So I would say like the first thing that like what always comes to mind is when we were at Waverly, we were with a group, like we were sitting in a room with a group doing tests method. And I had my EVP recorder going and didn't really think, I mean, like you could, the light was going off and on, such as that, but you didn't really hear anything. Like there wasn't any, like any whispers, anything whatsoever.
Mhm.
So we were going back, when I was going back through my recording and going through that, there was a child, like a baby laughing. Like there was nothing, like, we were speaking and then in dead silence, you hear this little giggle, and there was no children there. It was 17 degrees. There was like 5 of us in the room. And that was amazing. And then most recently, I would say we were at the Thomas house, and we were, doing questions and such, and actually had we didn't hear it during the actual session. We had activity like where things were moving, and like we had some different, just some different things that we could actually see and experience then. But we actually had some question and answers where I think one of the questions was, do you enjoy music? Do you enjoy a specific one or general? And then clear as day, it spoke back general. So, I mean, I would say that's my favorite. Oh, and then also at Waverly, we went back to Waverly earlier back in the summer with the Paranormal Society and of Savannah, and we had taken balloons and put lights in them. And I was in one of the rooms with some of our teammates, and we had the balloon on the table, and literally I guess it was a child. I didn't have any EVP evidence there, but I could actually on command and with, every interaction, I would say it would push the balloon from one side of the table to the other. It's like we could put it on one side and I would say, can you push it to me? And literally you would see the thing start coming towards me, and I say, okay, well, can you push it to, another team member and specify which team member it was? And it would go right across there. And so we
Oh,
did everything we needed to do to debunk, to make sure there wasn't any kind of like wind or, even other, something that could be making it move. And I mean, that was really, really cool.
See, with evidence like that, that is really cool because it's also showing that there's an intelligent haunting there as well.
Yep.
well, as many guests as we've had on over the last 4 or 5 years we've been doing this since 2019, and they've talked about Waverly Hills. It's like they've always got some activity.
Yep.
Somebody's got something super cool that happened to them while they were there, you know. And it wasn't always the first trip. It may have been the second or third trip, but
Mhm.
they had something cool to say to the place. It's definitely a bucket list for me.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah, we really enjoy. I mean, just the architecture. I mean, I don't know. We just really enjoy it there. So we've, went there twice. Probably would definitely be going again soon. With probably next year. We enjoy it because once again, every time we go, it's a different experience. So we definitely enjoy it there.
So when you guys go out and people ask you what you do,
Yeah.
what kind of reactions do you get when you tell them that you do paranormal investigating?
Well, I mean, where we're at, it's not really, everyone, the first thing is, I mean, that I've kind of gotten is, has anything followed you home? Like, that's the first thing everybody asks is, what, it did something, how do you know something didn't follow you home? I mean, but, I mean, for the most part, everybody's been, just intrigued by it. Like, there hasn't really been a lot of negativity or anything like that because, we just are, I don't know. We just are, kind of just try to be real cool about it. And not, you can kind of gauge your audience as to how receptive they're going to be. So we haven't really had a lot of negative stuff. I mean, that's primarily, I guess, the main thing that I would say is they're like, how do you know that nothing follows you home? And, and then the next thing, and then once you kind of start talking about it, they want to start hearing the evidence. Like, when you tell them, hey, yeah, I got
Hmm.
an answer. And then, whatever, they want to see like the video. So for the most part, the people that, we've gotten that, that kind of find out what we do, they, are more intrigued by it.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I think that the shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and stuff like that, I think that's kind of brought it more into the mainstream for people to where
Mhm.
it's a little more acceptable.
Yeah,
Or
but those
accepted.
people also, people got to get some common sense about themselves. You know, even though you got paranormal shows, you got Counts Customs, you got all these different reality type shows. The thing is, they're all scripted.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about ratings and making money. Lots of it.
Yeah.
You know, picking up
Unfortunately,
sponsors.
unfortunately, Joe's correct about that, and that's the one thing that really bothers me.
You know,
Because
they're good shows, but
yeah, I mean and I'm not doubting that they get evidence. I'm not doubting that they, that they have stuff happen. But the thing is, I know that, like Joe said, it's all scripted. It's
Yeah.
why I try to be raw and open when I go out and do my stuff.
yeah, we don't see nothing. You don't see nothing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't see the part where you have 4 hours of nothing and 2 minutes of something or less than a minute of something. They
Yep.
definitely don't show like the hard part or the waiting part or the discouraging part. It's
Yeah.
all like, I mean, for the most part, they're investigating for a full week and it's crammed into, 15 minutes because it's, 30-minute segment with, at
Mhm.
least 20 minutes of commercials. So you don't see the hard part. And then, 10, 15 minutes of that is, their research and such. So yeah, no, definitely I agree with that.
You know, and sometimes putting it out that way, you know, all raw and uncut, where you're not getting nothing, you're getting frustrated. You know, you always review the footage when you get home, but you may not see something that maybe a viewer, when you put it out there online, totally unedited, might see something.
Yeah.
You know, this goes back to what you were saying earlier. You know, you didn't realize about the evidence until you got home, the EVP evidence, right?
Yeah.
You know, we had the same thing happen when we were investigating that one crash site. You
Mhm.
know, it was months later, we're sitting there and we get the phone call from the guy, Dale Kazmarek, about this. Oh, you hear audio? Did you guys see a plane when we were out there in the field? Did you hear
You
planes
got it
out in
backwards,
the field?
Joe.
Well,
You got it backwards.
still,
I was listening to the audio. I heard what sounded like a prop plane flying over us.
but there
It
was
was
nothing that day.
my audio from my voice recorder, and it wasn't on any of the other
Oh,
pieces of equipment that recorded audio that day.
basically a phantom plane,
So it
about
was
the
it was
same
weird,
size,
and,
about the
and it was
same
but
size
it was weird.
as
It was weird
they
to get that.
crashed in. Right? It sounded like a whatever they had, a Cessna.
I
That's
think
what
they
it
were in
was.
a Cessna, and it did. It sounded like a single engine prop plane flying over. But there isn't a single one of us that was out there that day that remembered hearing one or seeing one or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean, like, and to speak to that, we actually have started using like multiple recording devices, and everybody, like, I have one, he has one, and like I have one that normally that I just leave going, and then I have one that I use with a headset while we're investigating, and then he has one, and it's amazing how you can have different activity on within them. Like they'll pick up one thing, and it's we're within a close vicinity where we shouldn't, we should all have the same activity. But
Yep.
yeah, so it's impressive to hear how I don't know. It's exciting when you get those wins when you come back like that.
Oh yeah, it is. It is very much so.
Well, you want to do that because there's always the equipment failure on a site too. You know, batteries get drained super fast, or just the equipment fails on you. You know, you go out there thinking you're having a good time and recording stuff, and you might have gotten something, but you get home and the card's corrupt.
Yeah,
So you can't get the files off the card or see what you recorded, and
A lot of our
that
Waverly,
gets frustrating too.
a lot
Yeah.
of our yeah, a lot of our Waverly evidence we thought we had, but what was it? The microphone?
yeah.
Was
The microphone, like we had the when we were doing the balloon thing, and we were so excited to hear to be able to play that back and share that later, but the microphone for that one had completely just malfunctioned just during that session. It was the wildest thing. But like, and to
Well,
speak of that, we were at the and also we were at the Thomas house, and we, were having, a good session while we were in a hallway, and the camera just immediately, like, just drained, just quickly drained, and so they were changing, like they were, kind of
yeah.
called a timeout, and they were switching it out, and I made the comment, now is when we're really going to have something. And I had not gotten that right out of my mouth, and we heard something kind of throw and like literally hit me in the ankle. It was like a little rock that was not there that hit. So, I mean, it was just interesting how that died. And then, I made the comment and then that happened. So,
Yep. It's kind of like when we were out at our school.
Or Astalon.
Well, as Salon, we had the EMF meter go crazy.
It went nuts, and we had the camera on it recording it, the whole thing, because I set it down. So that you see, I set it down on the step. It was still going nuts.
So he wasn't touching it.
So I wasn't touching it, and you could see that it wasn't any kind of movement. There were no electrical fields around, and this thing was just going nuts. We get home to check the footage, and the camera file was totally corrupt.
really?
It
Oh,
was
that's such a heartbreak.
brand new SD card, formatted before we even left for the camera and everything. Tested it before we left. Brand new battery in there, fully charged, and the whole file card was corrupt.
Oh my
But
God.
yet I was able to record on it again and use it later.
Yeah.
That's
And then
heartbreaking.
for our school out in
That
Iowa,
one tickles me pink because it serves you right.
Oh, whatever. That one particular one we had before we got all of our equipment set up. We had a basketball in the gym start rolling on its own without being touched.
Oh, how cool.
And I had 5 pieces of equipment subsequently fail on me.
That was your fault.
5 pieces, yeah.
That was his own
And
fault.
it was my fault. The reason it was my fault is I went into the most active room of the place solo with nobody around me, and I provoked.
Oh.
Whatever was there, I made it mad, and it targeted me and made sure that I got nothing.
And the thing was,
Goodness.
I think they're pretty upset. When we were listening to that device, that phasma box or plasma box thing, that
It's a phasma box.
all right. So when we were listening to that in that room when Dale set up in there, and you heard all those different voices, there was a few of them that sounded like they were pretty angry to begin with.
Mm.
And all you did was piss them off much, much more. And I think it's funny because it serves you right.
Well, I kind of proved a point too by doing that.
Right. But yeah, that room, the boiler, it's like a boiler room area. It's like very dark presence in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
You're in all of the school, walking through the school, you feel just your normal presence.
I had to leave.
Energy. He had to leave out of there when he walked in. He had to actually turn around and walk back out.
Oh,
I started feeling sick, so I had to get out there and just get my shit together, and then I went back in, and I was fine after that. But at first, it was just like way too much of something, and I started feeling real nauseated and thought I was going to puke. And
right. But so when you walk in there, though, when you first walk into this place, you feel the energy. You can feel it, but it doesn't feel like overwhelming or ominous to most people. And then you go into the gym area, which is more of the basement, and off of that is the one room that has access to the boiler room. And you walk from the gym into that other room, and it just feels normal. As soon as you cross that threshold into the boiler room, you can feel the heaviness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You can feel the heaviness of the energy in that room. So yeah, it's really intense. Whatever it was that I made it mad, it wouldn't let me log into my laptop.
Really?
I had my laptop. I opened up my laptop. I was typing in the password exactly the way I knew it was to be, and it kept denying me. It kept keeping me out. kicking me out, so I wasn't able to get in. I tried it 4 different times and it just would not let me in. My voice recorder that was working at the crash site decided to quit working.
Oh my goodness.
But I get home, I'm checking all my equipment, everything is working fine. I
Yeah.
get home, I bring up my laptop, I type in my password, boom, right in.
First time. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. My body camera that I have, the video of it didn't go, just the audio. My regular camera, it went through one battery. I changed the battery, and then everything after that failed. And that was after everything after that's when I had it sitting on the tripod, aimed at the room, at the boiler room. So,
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
so yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever experienced anything like that, but
Probably. I mean, you never know what's causing it. Is it something that's putting an alteration in your head to do something wrong, or are they directly making the equipment, misfunction, or
I don't know.
it's just something we'll probably not figure out in our lifetime.
I don't know. I'm going to live forever. I might figure it out.
I think the most I've ever had of that kind of if something happening like that is I was typing a Facebook post while we were, kind of trying to update or go live or whatever. And I would type out and then it would delete. And then I would type out and then it would delete. Like it would just all the words would go away. So I just kind of chalked it up to a bad connection, but I was able to go live. So I haven't, even though it let me log in, it just didn't let me post any words.
That is weird.
Yeah.
That is kind of a strange thing.
Yeah.
So you ever go investigating anything else like cryptids or UFOs or?
Not yet. I'm open to it. I'd really like to know more about like what's my focus and my interest is in the Appalachian area, Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia. What's in the Mammoth Cave system down there? We don't
A
know.
lot of history too in that area.
That Mammoth Cave system is huge.
It's huge, and we don't even like who knows where things are. I mean, like that's just to me is a wonder in of itself.
Right.
And you talk about, are there goblins down there? Is there aliens down there? Anything can be down there. That's that would be probably my next thing.
I've always said that most everything that like fantasy and fiction, or like dragons and goblins and stuff like that. I've always said that most of the myths and legends like that are connected to a real event or real creatures of some sort at some point in our Earth's history. So when you have all these little myths and legends and stuff like that, I honestly feel that they are connected to something that has actual physical that has been here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I know that I don't know with the way the computers are now and how you can Photoshop stuff and the artificial intelligence getting smarter and being able to create its own like videos and stuff like that. I'm not certain how authentic a lot of the YouTube stuff is, but I've been seeing some really interesting stuff being posted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You gotta really look at some of that stuff with an open mind and keep in mind that technology in the right hands, somebody that knows what they're doing, can really make a video and really make it look real.
Yep.
I mean, this isn't like, Hollywood in the 70s to have that kind of software and equipment. It's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. Today, anybody can get that for little or nothing, if not free.
Well, a lot of it's open source on the
Right.
internet.
That's what I'm saying. It's a lot cheaper and easier for people to fake their own things. This goes back to that Patterson footage. the Bigfoot Patterson footage, from what was that, 67, I think, or somewhere back in that,
It was either
somewhere.
67 or 68, something like that.
So, you can't, you couldn't fake something like that without spending a bundle or edit the film.
Well, the whole thing is the way, if you really watch that film and just the they've actually taken the original film and they've put it through a process where they've cleaned it up and stabilized it. But if you really watch it, you can see the muscle movement under
Right.
the hair
Right.
on as the Bigfoot is walking.
Right.
The only
Which
way
makes it
you're
the
gonna
most
get
convincing.
right,
And
but the only way you're gonna get that kind of muscle movement under the hair like that is to actually have a real person that is of a large
yeah,
stature get them to glue all this hair on them
yeah,
and walk across naked barefoot on these rocks.
because at that time Hollywood didn't even have
I mean, you got to
the
think about it. Look at the at that time. That's when they were doing
Planet of the
Planet of
Apes.
the Apes.
Those costumes
Okay,
from
if
them
they had that
60
kind of
movies,
technology,
you could tell they were so fake.
right? But if
Oh,
if
yeah.
Hollywood had that kind of
They would have used it.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
they
a
would
good
have used
point.
it.
So it's stuff like that. I mean, the enhancement of that video and just watching it's only just that part of it is very convincing.
So I'm thinking of like a scenario where they're about to film it and they're like, "Hey man, we're gonna slap a bunch of glue on you. Why? Where's my costume? Just shut up. We're gonna put all this glue on you and we're gonna throw all this hair on you. Wait, what?" And
But
now you
here's
walk
but
across
here's
it.
the funny part about it. Watch it really close because that is not a male. That is a very large female.
Oh, twist.
Yeah.
Now, back that time, I don't think there'd be very many women that would actually want to go through that.
No,
No,
and be
I
that.
would say not.
So yeah, that's another thing, another little factor of it that I feel makes it even more authentic.
And nowadays Hollywood and just about anybody can get their hands on the technology.
Oh yeah.
We saw that
Absolutely.
mockumentary, that one mockumentary about mermaids, and oh my God, it looks so real.
Do you ever watch that one?
I'm not familiar with that.
Mm-mm.
The Discovery Channel did that. They did a mockumentary about the evolution of mermaids. Of they did to where how they're saying that we may have came from the apes. Well, they're saying that mermaids are real and they also came from the apes, but the apes became aquatic, and through evolution,
Right.
became what they were. And it was a very convincing mockumentary that they did, and
Really?
it was very well done.
Oh, I love
And the main reason they did this was because it came out later or after it, because it was at the end of the part 2-1, that they were against the military testing their sonar because it was beaching whales and dolphins.
Yep,
Really? Oh,
Yep.
wow.
and that is something that's kind of unfortunate with our military. So
It happened.
anyway, sorry, people got me off topic.
It's okay.
Let's steer back. So, any particular places that you guys are looking to go now that you haven't been to yet, or anything like that?
I just want to hit like the big, like the big places in Harlan County, Kentucky, or West Virginia. The big buildings. I'm a Kirkbride building kind of guy. I just want to. It's for me. It's the history and walking through there. You're 99% sure you're gonna have a great time just walking through a building. Maybe less than 0.5% of getting something. So you got to take that into consideration. Just enjoy the time of being in there and experiencing it.
Yeah, I bet a lot of that land though in that area, like Kentucky, and what was the other state? I can't remember what the other state was.
Well, you got Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama,
No,
Georgia,
you had
Florida.
one family living in Kentucky, and the other family lived in another bordering state.
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah, and, the Hatfields and
You're
McCoys,
talking about, yeah.
the longest feud in history and the bloodiest. I mean, that land in that area between those two families and all of that, there's got to just be a lot of bad juju.
Yep,
Mhm.
that's true.
You know, I think it'd be cool just to check some of those areas out if you could pinpoint where some of the stuff happened.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
agree.
I think our next location specifically is going to be Brushy Mountain in Tennessee. We're looking forward to going there. We've got some other stuff planned, like further up north, like in Pennsylvania and such, but still working through those plans.
We got a trip planned to not the Bel Air house, but the Ross house. That's also in Bel Air, Ohio. We're gonna try that out in January.
Cool.
I
That
think
would
you're
be
scheduled to go.
interesting, though.
Yeah.
It'd be a middle of winter.
Mhm.
Yeah. When we did Waverly the first time, it was January 21st or 22nd, 17 degrees when we got back in our car at 6 a.m.
No,
Oh.
thank you.
I've
Oh,
never been
I
that cold in my life, and I never want to be that cold again. I was frozen.
I
Absolutely.
hibernate in the winter.
That's why you got. That's why you got jackets and
We
and
had
Oh, I had
thermal
jackets.
pants.
I had thermal pants on. I had those hot hands and toe warmers. Like I could not get those in and out quick enough because I mean it was. I've never been that. I'm a Georgia Southern girl. I'm not used to the cold, so I mean I was not in my element, and it was fun, but I was not having a good time at some of those points.
I'm sorry to laugh, Miranda.
No, it was
I'm
it was
I'm
rough.
a I'm in Wisconsin, of course, and I am a transplant from California.
ooh,
Okay, so you feel my pain.
It- it- if I was back to when I first got here, you probably, but now I'm kind of allocated to it. So
Yeah, you build tolerance for it after a while.
Uh,
I was born and raised here. Before what
really?
happened to me, the cold really didn't bother me much, except I didn't have no meat on my bones to help keep me insulated. But after I got sick and I missed, 3 or 4 winters in a row, you know, I don't go out. I hibernate.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
only
was.
go out if I absolutely necessary, or my wife makes me.
Yeah, I was telling Terry, I said, I feel like my bones are cold. Like I've never had that happen in my entire life that I felt like my bones were frozen. That was
So,
a whole new level for me.
but on the
yeah,
flip side, when we went back a second time was what, the end of September, and it was miserably hot and humid too. So it's like you got to, you had both extremes and two big.
right. Extremes in either direction on
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, see, we got snow now.
Oh boy.
It's
Eh,
30,
we got a
32
little
and
dust.
snow where I'm at.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's snowing right now. I got 33 degrees and it's light snow.
And you're always a degree warmer.
I don't know
I don't know
why,
why.
but yeah, I kind of understand the whole thing. I mean, you got to go when you can.
Mhm. But
That's
now I do prefer to go when it's colder. I don't know what it is, but I do like I don't want to be that cold, but I prefer to investigate when it's cold when it's colder. I'm not when it's hot, I don't want to go, but when it's
so.
cold, I prefer to do it like in the winter months, fall and winter months.
I
So
feel like better.
what would your temperature range be then? Sorry,
I
Terry.
would I would say like I don't want to go below 30. Like 30 to 60, I think is where I'm at. Like I don't like when we hit 70 degrees and it's hot. I don't know. I would say at night when middle of the night, like I wouldn't go below 30 or above 70. It's my goal. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Terry. What were you saying?
Oh, I don't remember. I said, back when it was like 17, about 20 to 17 degrees. I feel like you get better activity, air's thinner, energy, the energy is used less. There's less energy for them to try to communicate, or you find evidence as opposed to being bogged down in humidity. That's my theory.
No, no, thank you.
Yeah, that is the one thing I don't like is the humidity.
Mhm.
When that's why I could never figure out why anybody wants to live in Florida.
Right.
It is so damn humid down there. It's
Yep.
almost what 90% humidity half the time, and it's so just so hot and sticky and crappy.
You need a
Up here,
shower. Yeah.
I mean, we get enough humidity up here. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
we have bad days like where it's really bad and I can't even go out because I can't breathe. You know, a lot of people
Wow.
can't breathe when they go out because it's so humid. I hate that time of year too, but I
yep.
hate winter worse.
Yeah.
I
Winter
would be.
makes me hurt. No, winter puts me in a lot of pain.
Yeah, it has to do with the illness he had. But no, I'm more comfortable right between I'd say probably 62 degrees and 45.
Yeah.
Just that area. I can run around in shorts and a short sleeve shirt and not have a problem with.
No, no, no.
I can't help it. I've
You're
been
just a
told I'm a
freak of
walking
nature.
furnace.
You're just a freak of nature.
Yeah, I probably am.
I like it cold.
You know,
Well,
I can't handle some of these people. You know, if my wife had it her way in the wintertime, she'd have a fan on in the bedroom.
I do have a fan on in my bedroom.
For noise?
Nope,
No, no.
because I sleep so stinking hot.
Okay.
I'm serious. I've been told that I am like a walking furnace. I will I'll have maybe a sheet on and I'll have the fan blowing on me because I sleep so stinking hot. But anyway, got off topic again.
That's okay. Tangents
Uh,
are fun.
You know, nobody's regulating our show.
I
It's
know,
okay
I
to get
know.
off topic.
You
I
got
mean,
anything on your bucket list, guys? Anything really interesting other than the ones you're talking about?
Uh, Probably. I keep referring back to Appalachia. There's a couple places like Shawnee Amusement Park in southern West Virginia. Of course, the penitentiary up in northern West Virginia. The prison up there. She had mentioned Brushy Mountain in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
That prison there. Um, we're just working our way away from home. We're kind of spiraling outwards as we get more experience. So that's what we're sticking to. We also want to focus on our own home area, Northeast Georgia, Helen, Georgia area, Dahlonega, Georgia, where they had a lot of gold rush days back in the 1800s. We feel like that's a lot of untapped area that doesn't get a lot of mention, such as like Savannah or who else has a lot of mention, New Orleans or something like that. We just want to get out there and find our own. I just feel like there's places that just don't get the attention they deserve.
Yeah, yeah.
You
well,
know?
that far south, I'd want to check out myself. I'd want to check out a plantation, if from way back when,
Yeah.
to see if there was like hopefully abandoned or whatever, to see if there was activity there because of the way the slaves were treated back then. And you know I mean, God, you get into one of those slave houses that they had behind the mansion or plantation, whatever you want to call it, I bet you'd get a lot of activity. But the land itself
Very much so.
Oh
Could be.
yeah.
probably absorbed most of it.
That would be exciting because it can be such a beautiful building, especially even if it's in a rundown
Hmm.
state at
Right.
this point. You just got to find a way to get access, feel safe, be legal. That's
Yeah.
that's
That's one of the things that I try to do is
Uh,
get us
cut,
permission when we can.
cut through the red tape, it can be a real pain in the ass sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a building we've been trying since day one to access. And it'll end up being abandoned by the time we get access to it.
Oh, wow.
Possibly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's an old. It's an old asylum
Okay.
or a
TB hospital.
tuberculosis hospital,
Okay.
but they
And
did call them asylums back then.
yeah, it did have mentally disabled and stuff, but it's now kind of owned by the county, and it's more of a records where they keep like records, hard copies of all these records where the welfare offices used to be way back in the day. You know,
Yep, but I don't care about any of the one through whatever floors. I want to go in the basement.
basement, yeah, is the important build.
That's where everything is. I talked to a guy that worked on their phone system,
Okay.
and he said that when you walk in the building, you feel normal. It's all normal through there. You don't have any of this heaviness or anything. He said as soon as you walk down those stairs to that basement, you cross that threshold, you just feel this like heavy weight. And you can feel the heaviness of the energy in that basement, and he hates it because that's where the switchboard is.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Oh, wow.
and I knew somebody that worked there, and they used to go down there to smoke in the wintertime for their breaks. Instead of going outside, they'd go to the basement. And uh, this person and their friend, they were that worked there together. They went down the basement, smoked a cigarette. They saw an old uh, wooden wheelchair move.
Oh, wow.
Nobody was around, just them two down there. And this happened to them twice when they were down there because they saw a gurney move
Oh, my goodness.
after that. But the wheelchair was interesting because she said the wheelchair looked like it was made out of wood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that would have been back in the '60s type
Right.
wheelchair, probably, or even the '50s.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So they haven't had anyone actually go in and investigate, or they don't let you go do that. It's
No,
just kind of
Oh,
just word
I
of mouth.
tried.
when you guys
I
know.
have tried all my contacts that I had, and they couldn't get us in.
yeah,
Oh, that's so discouraging.
It's
yeah.
a building.
Although I, on the other hand, I do have us permission to go into the old children's hospital up at our campus. The only thing
Oh,
is,
yeah.
I gotta get a hold of the guy because we originally had it all set up. We were going to go in just before COVID hit, and then COVID hit,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but
so that got put on hiatus for a while. So, but I got to get a hold of the guy. We got to arrange for us to go up there because he still
yeah,
wants us to come do it.
and that's and I'm going to say this because Tanya's not here and it won't upset her, but it's too bad. Too bad Shar passed away before we got a chance to get in there because she was a patient there when that hospital was in existence, and she told me some stories about that place as well.
Yeah.
So
That's a shame.
yeah, Tanya's mom, when she was a kid, she was in that hospital. I forgot why. So, but we don't bring up the
But
subject.
now it's what is it? Nutritional science building.
Okay.
So it's all laboratories in there now.
It's on a
But
university campus.
Yeah, it's on
on
the
the
university
university campus.
campus.
But there are still reports of tons of activity in that building.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And the one place I want to get is it's basically the fourth floor, but to get to access it, you got to go through the third floor, up a set of stairs. Now this is all set up to where there's only 3 rooms. There's a hallway and 3 rooms once you come out of the stairwell to the fourth floor. And supposedly there's a little girl that's been seen up there several times.
Really?
Yep. That would be a great place to actually set up camp.
Yep.
That's a story to hear or to find out why. Find out
But
why.
Yep.
we got a long way to go with Wisconsin. You know, that campus, the UW campus, there's more than one building on that campus that's got activity.
And I got his permission to do one. I was working on getting his permission to go to another one, which is actually connected through the tunnel system to the old hospital or the old children's hospital. The other one is actually the old um, UW hospital, the first hospital that was there, and they still have an active um, morgue room where they have the classes where they teach the anatomy and stuff, and they have an actual active morgue in that basement of that building too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I I had the fortune of coming through and actually seeing they had the door open.
Hmm.
It was the anatomy class that was in there, and I actually got to see the students in there working on the cadavers.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Ooh.
That's
it's
something you don't
pretty.
see every day
Nope, it
or a
isn't.
lifetime. I will.
It is pretty cool. So and we've got interesting stuff here in our university. In fact, we have a hall at our university called Bascom Hall,
Okay.
and the quad in front of it was an old cemetery before they started building up
Oh,
there.
wow.
And it's said that at night you can see occasionally you can hear spirits and you can see people or spirits walking across the grounds.
You know,
Oh, my
there's a
goodness.
lot of strange activity in that. Not just that, but the parts of the UW hospital itself. There's very old. You can tell the older parts from stuff that's been added on. But the very old parts of that hospital, yeah, there's some shit going on there. I mean, I used to work at that hospital as housekeeping. It was an LTE job, and you'd swear you just cleaned up all the. It was a casting room where they made the casts, where they would make casts, the plaster and stuff. So you'd have to go in there and clean it. And when you first get in there, it's like the floor is covered with this dust, this white dust, powdery dust.
Mhm.
So we have to go in there and clean it because I was housekeeping. Get it all clean and stuff. And it was one of those places we kind of, in the wintertime, went off to catch a quick smoke and not get caught by the boss because it was so far away to get to because it was the oldest part of the building. And nobody being in there at that time of night, because they have like some portable thing. They don't usually go back there at
Okay.
night because I was like third shift working 10 to like 6 in the morning. I get done cleaning in there and we get back, maybe a couple hours later, and it was like I never cleaned.
Oh, wow.
The floor was just covered with dust again, you know. And then some of those dorms, oh my God, you swear you'd pick some shit up and move and stuff would be put back where you found it when you first got there, you know.
I believe it because you gotta remember, man. Hospitals hospitals
Mhm.
see a lot of death.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was at the for the hospital system for 6 months because it lasted 6 months. Then I had to take a week break. Then they put me back on the campus, but I was working in the dorms down there and up on Bascom Hill area.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can relate. One of my jobs as a mail order pharmacist was working in a hospital by myself in one end of the hospital, and you just feel like there was always somebody in the corner of your eye. Maybe something would fall, or you'd just be working, and you would see kind of something in motion, but turn and you would lose it. And I'd bring that up to somebody, and they're like, "Yeah, who else? Somebody else who did that shift." And they like, "Oh, you met my friend." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." Yeah. I know that feeling.
You know, and I never thought of that stuff back then. I always thought, somebody was fucking with me, and just
But
making my job harder for me or something. But then when we started getting into this, you start thinking about these things. I worked at a place, I was working security for many years, and I worked at some pretty spooky buildings. I tell you, never thought about it until now,
Hmm.
what it might have been.
Yeah, it was fun when I worked security.
You were in California, though, weren't you?
Yep, I worked security at two malls, and then moved out here in '93, and then I started working security at uh, GE Lunar over there by the interstate. That place was kind of interesting too. So, but yeah, it's always fun, always interesting. So, where can people find you if they want to check your stuff out?
right
We
now,
have. Go
we're
ahead,
putting
Terry.
stuff out on TikTok and Facebook whenever we get out and got something we're showing under Mighty Paranormal in both cases.
Haven't gone to YouTube yet?
We've got a profile, but we haven't dabbled in that yet.
Uh,
I'd like to get some good stuff before I start to dabble in that, which we're hopefully will be doing in 2024.
Yeah,
yeah,
we're hoping to ramp up our stuff here a little bit.
yeah, our YouTube channel's a little mix of everything.
I see.
You know,
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, our YouTube channel has our original first stuff that we started.
Right.
yeah. If you anything before 2019, you might get offended.
Yeah, anything before 2019, there's no might about it. Me and my mouth definitely will offend you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then, but March 2019, we started down this path of the paranormal and been enjoying it ever since. But there's also videos up there of the puppy.
Yeah, he uses it for his dog. I don't know.
Well, I figured, why not? You know, who doesn't love seeing a husky play with a child, an infant, or a toddler, and then that dog's getting extremely vocal.
Oh,
Love our dogs.
yeah.
Yep,
We
yep.
can appreciate that.
He's
So
got a husky. She's an absolute diva. I've got a I've got a pit bull, and she's not quite a diva, but she's spoiled.
she's a
Oh,
big baby.
Oh God, is she ever a big baby? She is one of the sweetest pitties I've ever had.
She just wants attention. That's all.
Yep. She'll come. We have this couch. It's a recliner on each end, and then the center part folds up and down. And we'll have it folded down, and we'll be sitting there, and she will literally come up and sit right in between us in front of that, and look at it, and then look at us, and then look at that, and it's like give you that look that put that up because I want to get up there.
oh,
Yep.
And then once I do give into it and I put the thing up, she'll jump up and put half of her body in my lap
oh,
and then lay there and then lean up against me and look up at me. She's she knows how to get to me.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, they do. But you also got to love those moments. So,
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I cherish them.
We
All
don't.
right. We're
they're
pushing the
Got
babies.
one.
time.
All right.
So I'm going to make an announcement. If you want to stick around and talk, we still can after we go off the air. But next week we'll be back, same time, with Brad Ferris from Speedway Paranormal Investigators.
All right. Well, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
Thanks
You
coming
for
all
in.
having us.
coming
Thank you
on, and
for having us.
Had
All right,
fun and
Joe. We're running
we're out
over.
of here. Till next time, stay safe and remember anything's possible.